films are world famous, but few know the man behind the international blockbusters, one of the most successful directors of comedy in the history of filmmaking. It's a pretty strong line. Although he now lives his life, the life of a big Hollywood movie mogul, Mr. Reitman remains a proud Canadian and a devoted family man. Written by Anonymous. So she got to do, or he got to do the intro. Ladies and gentlemen, Ivan Reitman.
Stripes, which was really my sort of first real studio movie that I was directing. Gene Cantamesa is an Academy Award-winning sound mixer. Used to work with Mel Brooks. I'm working with him for the first time on Stripes. About the second week of shooting, he turns to me and he says, "Ivan, is this funny?" It's a really nervous-making question, as you can imagine. I said, I think so. Why are you asking? He said, "You know, I just came from the last movie we did with Mel. We were laughing every single day. It was really great. It was so amazing, and you know, I'm just not laughing like that on his script, and it really set me back." And I said, "I think it's funny," and that's the true answer. Is you think it is, because you know what happens is you're sick of the movie even as you start to shoot it. You've heard the line so often if you've worked on the screenplay, and then by the time you're finished coverage and all the different takes of each piece of coverage, you're really tired of it, and you lose. And that's just where a director really has to be very, very wary. The set laugh is not a real laugh. The set laugh, that's what the sort of crew starts to laugh suddenly, is usually because there's something different that's occurred from all those other takes, and their boredom is now being sort of eased somewhat. But I think really you have to, it's tonal control, particularly in comedies. And you know, tone, I mean, you can see Animal House, that scene in that, the food fight scene is tonally very different than each of the other clips that you saw. And those, you have to make it consistent within the whole film and be really focused and just hear your own ears. Then later on, I really believe in screening. There are certain auteurs who don't believe in screening, and I think they're wrong. Danny Aykroyd is the great mad genius of comedy, and is a real tribute to this country, and a tribute mostly to himself. I think here's a man who not only invented the Ghostbusters, but the Coneheads, and the Blues Brothers, and the two Czechoslovakian brothers, whatever their names are, and all sorts of stuff. After he was going to make this film, he had an 80-page treatment that took place in the future, had ghosts on every page, had competing teams of firemen like Ghostbusters, and it didn't make any sense, and it would have cost $100 billion to make. And he had sent it to me to see, after John had gone, to see if there's if I'd like to do it, or what would I do with it. And I sat down with him and I suggested that, you know, look, there was a central, like everything with Danny, there was this central piece of genius, which is, oh, ghosts exist, you can catch them, yeah. And there are these guys who operate much like firemen, and you can do it. And I said, well, this will be much funnier if we set it today, in a real city, maybe like New York, you know, something that's really iconic. And I always thought of Ghostbusters as a going into business story. It's like these guys, they're working at college, they get kicked out, and they basically go into business, and then business turns out to be good because of what else is going on. It's the last of the old-style special effects movies. Yeah. Everything got changed with digital technology, and I mean, we had to finish the movie in like 11 months because the studio said, we'll make it as long as you can get it out by June or something. And there are unfinished effects. I'm watching unfinished effects. I thought, I don't know, like when he steps on the church, you can see he just goes, his foot goes, yeah. He disappears behind, and it really didn't matter. The first time I screened the movie, because I learned after Meatballs, I said, you know, let's make sure the story's good on this. So literally 3 weeks, and I knew I had a very, very short window, and I didn't know if I was going to have to do any additional shooting. So we had a screening at Columbia Studios 3 weeks after the finish of shooting on this movie. And I had been working with 2 sets of editors all the way through the shooting and had a kind of a first cut of the movie without a single special effect in it. It had one close-up of the Marshmallow Man's head, because basically it was a guy with a big rubber suit, so I had that. And when the guys shot their proton pack wands and things, nothing came out of it. When she opened the fridge, it said "scene missing." There were guys, because a lot of it was blue screen, that was going to be replaced. There were crew members on the sides of some of the shots. So we screened it. I said, you know what, screw it. Let's screen it. I was pretty cocky by then. And it was maybe one of the best screenings. It was as hot as the Animal House screening that I described earlier. You could see that people fell in love with these guys. And a lot of the effects were done live. So things like the eggs frying on the counter and popping, all that was there because we had just shot it. Or her going out of the room in the chair. We just basically did it.
Well, we're putting in our dibs for Ghostbusters 3.
Well, it's a pleasure to be here in Whistler. This is the first time I've ever been here, actually, and I hope I can get back really, really soon.